OTC, it's MS2. Have you loud and clear on 1.
You're welcome, sir.
And so that was the Orion test conductor speaking with Jeremy Hansen, again, mission specialist 2 for this mission. So his communication check over, you heard him say 1, Orion to Earth 1, has been completed, a successful test. The rest of the crew here waiting in the white room. Again, as Nicole was saying, a little tight there for all of those folks. So Christina and Victor will wait until Reed and Jeremy are done getting buckled in.
Yeah, I think 4 astronauts and 4 suit techs would be a tight fit in that capsule.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at Bill. He's number 3 there, the suit technician there. He is kneeling where Christina will be in order to get Jeremy situated.
OTC asked, commander's ready for comm checks.
OTC copies. Commander.
NTD, MIFCO 212, comm check.
NTD, have you loud and clear here as well.
I'll catch FTS on 194, thank you.
Commander, OTC Orion to Earth 1.
OTC, CDR has you loud and clear.
Good comm. Welcome, sir.
And there you have it, a successful comm check with Commander Reed Wiseman. And so...
And CDR, NTD on Orion to Earth 1 for comm check.
CDR, I got you loud and clear, NTD.
And good to have you on board. Good luck today.
And so now these 2 closeout crew members will finish up.
And good to have you on board. Good luck today.
And so now these 2 closeout crew members will finish up what they're doing here. Again, Nicole, walk us through what is happening here. They're connecting umbilicals, is what we said.
Yeah, they're strapping them in, so they're getting their...
what they're doing here. Again, Nicole, walk us through what is happening here. They're connecting umbilicals, is what we said.
Yeah, they're strapping them in, so they're getting their restraints connected. It's a 5-point harness with a quick release, and then they're connecting the umbilical, which has 3 different... actually 4 different connections. So it's got the air in, air out, the water for cooling, and then the comm as well, the communication cable. So they're going to make sure that all of those connections are good to go, make sure the crew's receiving the cooling and the air, and then we heard the comm check as well. So they're just making sure the umbilical connection was good to go, getting them strapped in and ready, and then they will move on to Victor and Christina.
And so while we wait for that to happen, why don't we get another check of the launch countdown milestones with Daryl and the launch team?
All right, welcome back into the firing room 1 here, where some of the launch team is having some pizza that was brought by the administrator. That was nice of Administrator Jared Isaacman to bring that by for the launch team to enjoy. We're L-minus 3 hours and 44 minutes and counting as you can see the crew ingressing into the spacecraft. There are a number of things that are happening on the timeline. Of course, the closeout crew, they liken themselves to Jared Isaacman to bring that by for the launch team to enjoy. We're L-minus 3 hours and 44 minutes and counting as you can see the crew ingressing into the spacecraft. There are a number of things that are happening on the timeline. Of course, the closeout crew, they liken themselves to like an F1 pit crew, working quickly, methodically, carefully, as they go through their procedures to get the astronauts in, like an F1 pit crew, working quickly, methodically, carefully, as they go through their procedures to get the astronauts ingressed. Overall, there's a little bit of timeline pressure, right? There's only a certain amount of time, as you see the astronauts going into Orion, only a certain amount of time that they can spend on their backs. They will be there for a few hours, right? So we're sitting at 2:40 p.m. Eastern time, and the window opens at 6:24 p.m. Eastern time and runs until 8:24 p.m. Eastern time. So 4 or 5 hours or more on their backs, and then they'll hopefully lift off for a launch. So, of course, the crew is mindful at the time. They don't want to slip into the window if they don't have to. And so they're keeping a tight lock on the margin, the amount of time that they're working there. And there's a heart from Christina Cook. Great to see that as she gets ready to get into the Orion spacecraft, one that they named Integrity. It certainly fits this crew from what I've observed. Now, right now, the rocket's tanks, they're in what's called replenish mode. So another factor for this closeout crew is, and the crew themselves, this is a fully tanked, almost ready to go rocket. It's got all the propellant it needs to go to the moon. It's just a matter of getting the astronauts in, getting them configured, and getting all the systems, the high-energy systems, bringing them all online in order to launch this rocket. As they sit there, there is propellant boil-off that's happening. All tanks are at 100%, but the propellant, which is liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, those two propellants are minus 423 for hydrogen and minus 297 for the liquid oxygen. They are boiling right now. They've been boiling the entire time when they've been in the tank. And that is vented out, as you can see. When we look to a wider shot of the rocket, you can see the venting and the little wisp of clouds that are coming out from the top of the rocket in the middle part of the rocket. And that is because just like you boil water on your stove, those propellants are boiling. Of course, their boiling point is much lower than water, and so it doesn't take much for them to boil. But just as if you were to leave your pot of water on the stove and just leave it there, what would happen? Well, it would completely boil off, and all the water would be gone. Basically turned into water vapor inside your house. Well, it's the same case here. So we are continually replenishing the rocket with propellant, liquid hydrogen and oxygen, running from those propellant lines that you see there going into the rocket. So that continues to go well. Overall look from the launch team here, this has been a very smooth countdown so far. The cryo tanking went exceptionally well, and the launch team is really in a good mood right now. Cautiously optimistic, understanding that with a system this complex, you can have something unexpected happen. But to this point, the firing room is really encouraged by what they've seen so far, and are especially excited to see these astronauts getting inside the spacecraft. L-minus 3 hours and 40 minutes and counting until we open up that window for launch. For now, we'll send it back to Megan and Nicole.
Thank you, Daryl. And, he mentioned that the crew decided to name Orion Integrity, and it was not something they came to easily. They really wanted to put in a lot of thought, and what they came down to is integrity is a value that NASA embodies, and also individually they felt like integrity is something that speaks powerfully to them.
Yeah, and I think the other part of integrity, it just represents the humility and the professionalism behind the entire team that built this rocket and got us here today. And so it's a fitting name for this capsule.
Yeah, like I said, I think the crew said it took them a little bit to decide on what they wanted, but I think they made the perfect choice.
I agree.
And so as the countdown to launch continues, we are reminded that this is an agency-wide effort to make today's launch attempt possible. We invited people across our NASA family to wish our crew a safe journey.
Go Team Artemis! Go Team Artemis!
3, 2, 1, blast off!
Have a great flight. Godspeed. We'll get you around the moon and home.
If I had a message for the crew, be safe, to have fun, to remember that we're all down here rooting for them.
I want to wish my friend and former student, Victor Glover, and the entire Artemis team best wishes and a successful flight.
have fun, take some really cool pictures. Can't wait to see you when you get back.
From the Earth to Sky team connecting NASA science to public lands, go Artemis.
We will see you in the Pacific, and you can count on us being there.
Greetings from NASA Langley's historic gantry facility,
where Neil learned to land on the moon and Orion learned how to swim.
We are with you all the way to splashdown.
Let's go fly from the Orion Human Engineering Team. Woo! Like a full moon, your future is bright. Have a safe journey from the multimedia team in Cleveland, Ohio.
We hope to see you guys back safely in San Diego, maybe singing some karaoke.
Yeah, right, maybe. He knows exactly what he wants to do. After he's like, yep, karaoke. I love that people submitted videos. You know, this is something that we actually asked as part of the broadcast. We were like, you know what, I think it'll be really fun. And the overwhelming amount of people who wanted to record something for the crew was really heartwarming.
Yeah, you know, this is the first time in over half a century that we're sending people back to the moon, and everybody is excited about it. You know, kindergarten to congressmen and all over the world, everyone is ready for today and excited to see this launch.
And so here we are again, still inside Orion with the closeout team, putting some final touches on, it looks like Victor's configuration there. Again, making sure that his harness is set and that he's connected to cooling, he's connected to communications, and he's connected to any other umbilicals that he needs to be connected to for Orion. Again, we are sharing so much information with you, and we hope you find it educational and fun. But we do know you guys still have some questions, so why don't we take another one now?
Tell us what the moon is like!
So cute. That wasn't a question. That was a demand. Nicole, you tell her what the moon is like.
Oh, man, that was so cute. Oh, man, the moon is really cool, right? So it's a lot of like gray and white and kind of shades of gray. It is something that doesn't have wind or rain or rivers or an atmosphere. And so we like to say Christina said it earlier, it's the witness plate to the universe. And, you know, it has all these impact craters because it's not protected. Things hit it all the time. Meteoroids, asteroids, all sorts of things hit the moon and create these impact craters. That's part of what we want to go and look at and learn about on the moon. It can tell us a lot about the age of the universe and the age of the moon. You know, it's 4.5 billion years old, and we can learn a lot from just looking at the regolith or the dirt that is on the moon.
Well, thank you for that question, and thank you for that answer. She was cuter, Nicole.
I agree.
And then earlier today, we wanted to ask you, what do you want to know about living in Orion? And we told you to pick between what the crew eats, how they sleep, how they fly the vehicle, and how free time is spent. And the winner, most of you wanted to know how to fly the And then earlier today, we wanted to ask you, what do you want to know about living in Orion? And we told you to pick between what the crew eats, how they sleep, how they fly the vehicle, and how free time is spent. And the winner, most of you wanted to know how to fly the vehicle. And we are going to be doing that.
Yes, we are. You know, that's a great question. And actually, part of what we're going to go do, so the rocket is fairly automated.
Vehicle. And we are going to be doing that.
Yes, we are. You know, that's a great question. And actually, part of what we're going to go do, so the rocket is fairly automated, right? There's a countdown, and the whole system knows when it needs to ignite the engines. But we are going to do some manual piloting throughout this mission. Once they launch and they separate from the ICPS, they're actually going to do a rendezvous and proximity operations demonstration. So what does that mean? They're going to take that portion of the rocket and they're going to try to fly closely to it. And so they will actually take manual control of the Orion spacecraft and try to get nice and close to the other portion of the rocket that had just separated. And so you can see actually a little bit in the view that you have right now. So for Reed, the left-hand person, his right hand, there's a kind of a joystick, if you will, on the right side. And then on the left side, there's something similar. And so they've got, translational and rotational hand controllers in order to command the rocket in different axes.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, Victor said it himself, like one thing that he's really looking forward to is piloting Orion manually. So we'll get to see that during our continuous coverage. Again, we are covering this entire mission. We started with tanking, and we will go all the way through splashdown, so you will see what Nicole was just talking about, that proximity ops demonstration, where the crew will pilot Orion manually. And so, speaking of their 10-day mission, why don't we take a closer look at the crew's home away from home for the next 10 days. Here's Megan Carter again from the KSC Visitor Complex.
All right, thanks, Megan. Yeah, it's getting real out there, so I am going to bring you back to the moon board so I can show you just a few things about the Orion. Obviously, it is going to be very compact, sitting up there on top of the SLS rocket. Very compact, like I mentioned, over 355,000 pieces. So let me show you a couple key components, starting with these three fairing panels right there. When the rocket blasts off, obviously it is going to get very fast.
MS1,
it's going to
NTD
get
on Orion Earth 1 for comp
windy, and so we have these three fairing panels in place to help protect our astronauts. I am also going to take you into a little bit closer look and talk about the LAS, or the Launch Abort System. This is the one piece that is going to be in place to protect the astronauts should something happen to go wrong in the first few minutes of launch. They can actually hit those abort motors, and these can activate within milliseconds, basically faster than you can even blink, and that is going to pull the crew and the crew capsule away from any danger. Now, obviously, we hope that those are not needed, and if that is the case, then about 3.5 minutes into flight, the LAS and those fairing panels will actually activate and jettison away. They'll fall away from the rocket, because at that point, the crew can actually abort the spacecraft safely by themselves. Now, we've talked a lot about the crew capsule right here. This is where they are going to spend the duration of their flight. We're going to talk a lot more about that one in just a little bit, but for now, let me jump down here to the service module. This is the one, we're going to think of this as the powerhouse for the spacecraft. It's pretty much going to provide them with almost everything that they need for the entire mission. Temperature control, removing the carbon dioxide, providing them with oxygen, so much more. You can also do course corrections and things like that. So, super quick breakdown, but as you can see, all of these components together are going to make the spacecraft one that is built not just to fly, but to protect, sustain, and bring those astronauts home. All right, lots more to come, but let's see where we are with the crew. Back over to you, Megan.
Hey, thanks so much, Megan. A lot of useful information there, and we did want to point out that you did hear over
and the PLT NTD on Orion Earth 1 for comm check.
NTD PLT, I have you loud and clear on OE1.
And I have you the same. Welcome aboard.
And so, again, we are now hearing mission audio loops, specifically the Orion to Earth 1 loop, the communication channel for the crew. Successful comm checks by both Victor and Christina.
CDR, OTC Orion Earth 1.
CDR.
Yes, sir. Configure ARS to shoot mode per EPROC 10.1.1. Crew ingress and vehicle pre-launch config, step 1.
10.1.1, crew ingress and vehicle pre-launch config, step 1. Going in work now.
And so, see, now we are privy to some of the countdown procedures that the team is asking for the crew to do.
Yeah, so they're going to work through some of these procedures and finish the ingress portion, as you heard in that procedure. So this is where the crew is going to start building their nest, if you will, running some procedures, getting the capsule ready for humans to be on board.
And now look at the clock, 3 hours, 30 minutes and counting until the opening of our 2-hour launch window, and we are pretty good on time. We are as we are expecting in terms of when ingress will be wrapping up soon. And so now let's bring Gary Jordan, again, our commentator inside of Mission Control at Houston. Gary, let's check in with you about mission preparations.
Hey, Megan, thank you. Yes, we're following along here in Mission Control Houston.
OTC copies.
And we'll stand by for those con checks.
Gary, let's check in with you about mission preparations.
Hey, Megan, thank you. Yes, we're following along here in Mission Control Houston.
OTC copies.
And we'll stand by for those con checks. And again, we're waiting for those comm checks. We did confirm from our IVA officer here in Mission Control Houston that all 4 suits have plugged in umbilicals.
And CDR, NTD.
Go ahead, NTD.
Yeah, Reed, we're ready to proceed with the voice checks if you and everyone else is.
NTD, Integrity Crew is ready for voice checks.
I copy that. And Integrity for the entire crew, comm check on Orion to Earth 1.
CDR. PLT.
MS1.
MS2.
Good comm check by all. NTD moving to Orion to Earth 2.
CDR. PLT.
MS1.
MS2.
Integrity Houston on Orion to Earth 1. Voice check for the entire crew.
CDR. PLT.
MS1.
MS2.
Houston has all 4 crew loud and clear on OE1. Stand by for 2.
Your initial word was broken.
MS1.
MS2.
4 crew loud and clear on OE2. We'll use 1 for the default. Houston out.
And CDR, NTD?
CDR.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to clear a couple of those messages on your screen here. Just want to give you a heads up that you'll see that.
Copy all.
CDR, OTC, Orion Earth 1.
CDR.
Yes, sir. Perform crew suit leak checks per 10.1.1. Crew ingress and vehicle pre-launch config steps 2 through 4. Annunciation of LCC O-ARS-001 will occur.
10.1.1 crew ingress and vehicle pre-launch config steps 2 through 4 going in work now.
This is Mission Control Houston. We are following along as the 4 crew members of Artemis 2 work through their voice checks, then the umbilical connections and various pathways to get communications from all of the...
refresh on your screen.
CDR.
Yes, sir. We're going to look to do a quick refresh on your screen if you guys are okay with that.
Hey, firm, just let us know when we can continue in 10.1.1. We'll go hands off.
.1.1 referring to the procedures that they have through the various phases of ingress and some of the checkouts needed to prepare for today's launch. Here in Mission Control Houston, the IVA or Intravehicular Activity Officer will be confirming the leak check status and watching as the suits pressurize to once again confirm that the suits are in a good configuration ahead of launch. Of course, for the team, various phases of ingress and some of the checkouts needed to prepare for today's launch. Here in Mission Control Houston, the IVA or Intravehicular Activity Officer will be confirming the leak check status and watching as the suits pressurize to once again confirm that the suits are in a good configuration ahead of launch. Of course, for the teams here in Houston, launch is just the beginning. The first flight day is jam-packed with activities. Shortly after main engine cutoff, Integrity will enter into a coast phase while still attached to the here in Houston, launch is just the beginning. The first flight day is jam-packed with activities. Shortly after main engine cutoff, Integrity will enter into a coast phase while still attached to the in-rim cryogenic propulsion stage, or ICPS, and prepare to deploy the solar arrays. With power being generated, Integrity prepares...
Go ahead, NTD.
With that refresh, and you got to go to proceed with your 10.1.1.
Picking up 10.1.1, step 2.3 through 4.
Arrays. With power being generated, Integrity prepares...
Go ahead, NTD.
With that refresh, and you got to go to proceed with your 10.1.1.
Picking up 10.1.1, step 2.3 through 4.
Picking up the procedures, the crew again working through the various steps to prepare for launch, standing by for suit. Picking up the procedures, the crew again working through the various steps to prepare for launch, standing by for suit. This is Mission Control Houston. With visors closed, the pressurization tests can commence. We'll stand by for word of a good leak check on all 4 of the crew member suits for the Artemis 2 mission. Again, this is the very beginning of a very busy flight day for our 4 crew members. After launch, they have a series of burns to prepare for. The first major burn being the perigee raise maneuver that allows them to continue in low Earth orbit, and the next being the apogee raise burn that puts them in a high Earth orbit. This is an orbit that takes them around the Earth for nearly a day, 23.5 hours to be precise, and allows the teams, including the astronauts and the flight control teams, to check out critical systems ahead of committing to the next day's translunar injection. But before they even call it a day, Integrity will separate from the ICPS, and the crew will command the Orion capsule to separate from the ICPS and turn around and approach the upper stage, but not dock. This is to test Orion's in-space maneuvering capabilities and provide further confidence in docking to another lunar space vehicle like the Human Landing System that will be part of the Artemis 3 mission ahead of future moon landings. These are just a few of the highlights of the very first of 10 flight days as we await for confirmation of good leak checks inside the capsule Integrity. And there's a lot more to this mission. A reminder that this is, of course, a test flight. The purpose here is to demonstrate procedures, systems, and life inside Orion on a mission around the moon for the first time, and give further confidence in the capabilities that are charting a return to the lunar surface. You may be able to see from this view the suits themselves inflating. This is, again, a pressure check, verifying that the suits are leak-free ahead of the ascent portion of today's flight. How you see the crew now with visors down will be the configuration of their ascent all the way through core stage separation, about a little more than 8 minutes after booster ignition. All right, here in Mission Control Houston, we are continuing to follow along, standing by for confirmation of good leak checks. In the meantime, there are no showstoppers here in Mission Control Houston, and we continue to monitor the countdown to launch. Megan, we'll send it back to you over at the Space Coast.
Hey, Gary, thank you so much. Yeah, as we wait for confirmation of a successful leak check for all 4 astronauts, why don't we go back to Daryl, again, who has been following along with the launch countdown as we inch closer to the opening of our 2-hour launch window.
All right, thank you, Megan. And yes, getting some good communication. It's great to hear from the crew inside, even though it is as simple as a comm check. It's really good to hear their voices as they move through those various comm checks and then get ready for their suit leak checks. Fantastic views inside Orion that you're looking at now. Give you an update on the weather outside. We're still 80% go for our 2-hour launch window, which starts at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time and closes at 8:24 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the good news. The bad news is that we've got some rain showers that are starting to head in. It looks like it may miss the pad. It wouldn't matter if it rained on it or not, though. It's received some rain earlier today. Water isn't going to hurt anything out there at this point. But the rest of the area might be getting a little bit wet, which may include the hostess, so keep an eye out for that. As we're watching with the astronauts inside the Orion Integrity spacecraft, you'll be hearing more and more from them